I'm ready if you are, sir.
All right. Good evening. The November 21st, 2022 monthly meeting of the Dixie County School Board is now in session. For the record, I would like to recognize that all school board members are present, as well as Tanya Baker, Board Clerk, Scott Mullins, School Board Attorney, and Mrs. Robinson, Division Superintendent. At this time, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and for a moment of silence, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we have an agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
No, sir, there are no additions to tonight's agenda.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. That will bring us to our public comment section. Mr. Hackney, will you please read the guidelines for public comment?
Period of time for public comment will be designated on the meeting agenda, during which the public may comment on issues related to public education. The Dickinson County School Board believes that the citizens of the county should be heard and that this is an acceptable format for receiving public comment. After the public comment section of the meeting is closed, the public shall not be allowed to participate in general board member discussions regarding agenda items. Public participation with the board members regarding agenda items can be disruptive, and the practice is prohibited by Robert's Rules of Order. It is the desire of the school board to treat each member of the public fairly and equally. Allowing one individual to participate while excluding others is unfair. The board may hold such public hearings as may be necessary to allow the public to more fully express their concerns, or the board may place the public comment section of any meeting at the end of the meeting to allow additional public comment. While we do not wish to restrict the free expression of opinion, we feel that certain restrictions may be necessary so that order and reasonable standards of decorum may be maintained. We ask that the following standards be adhered. The speaker will be recognized by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers will refrain from the use of vulgarity or profanity and will avoid negative or embarrassing comments directed towards specific children or students. Board members should not respond to issues presented by speakers unless clarification is necessary. Matters of concern raised under public comment will be referred to the proper official for investigation and future board consideration if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Hackney. Ms. Martin, will you please be our timekeeper? Okay. I do not see Ms. Music or Ms. Mullins here. Do we have anyone else for public comment? No. All right. So our next agenda item will be the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes, the approval of monthly bills, revenue and expenditure summary, discussion of school activity funds, approval of field trips, approval of elementary school construction invoices, the approval of bank reconciliation documents, and health statement account. Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Board members, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, board members. On the next agenda item is the information for the school board. Mrs. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. A couple of items on our information on the board, from the board. The 2022 VSBA conference and seminars. There is Insights for Budget Basics on December the 8th, and then also the 2023 VSBA Capital Conference, January the 30th through the 31st, 2023. This last one will be in Richmond. If you would like to attend either one, please let Ms. Baker know immediately, and she will make the plans and make the arrangements for you. I'd like to ask Ms. Taylor to come and to discuss the superintendent's memo 26, updated school division ESSER spending plan, which is due on December the 31st. Welcome, Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In your packet, you should have received a copy of Superintendent's Memo 260-22. We received this on November the 4th. Generally, this superintendent's memo explains that in October, Governor Glenn Youngkin had presented a public summary of the 2022 National Assessment of Education's progress data for Virginia. As a result of that, he did release a 7-step action plan known as Our Commitment to Virginia's Children to reverse the downward path of declining achievement and ensure that all children in Virginia have the tools and support structure to get back on track. Action item number 7 of this plan is to revise the American Rescue Plan, or ARP, ESSER spending plans, and they have required that we do so by December 31st, 2022. We did an initial ESSER spending plan for that ARP, those ARPA funds, so we will be reviewing that one that we have and revising it to meet the current requirements for that plan. So we just wanted to let you know that we were in process of working on that. There is a requirement for public input on that plan as well, so once we have that draft, we will be posting that and asking for public comment on it. The draft plan will be coming back to you in December for approval. Do you have any questions about that? And as I said, we'll keep you posted as we go, so if you do have any questions, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Robinson, will you please give us some more good news from the schools?
Oh, thank you, sir. Our first item agenda under good news from our schools is on our security grant, and I'd like to ask Ms. Martin to come and share that good news with our board and also with Ridgeview High School and Ridgeview Middle School.
Good evening, Board. We're pleased to inform the Board that we were notified in a press release on November 10th from the Department of Education that we've been awarded $233,380 in state school security equipment grants. The system and equipment purchased through these grants will help school divisions control access to school buildings, respond quickly to school emergencies, and maintain orderly learning environments for our students. Equipment such as additional cameras, panic systems, and visitor ID systems are just a few examples of some of the things that we will be purchasing with this money. So we're excited to get the ball rolling, spending our grant. Thank you.
Just like to take this time also to thank Ms. Martin and Mr. Mooney and several others who have worked on this grant. $233,000 was one of the larger grants received, and so we're very proud of that. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
I'd also like to ask Mr. Compton, we are always bragging about our students, our staff, and everything that the talents, and just like to ask Mr. Compton to come, and this is not on our good news from our schools because I wasn't certain if he was going to be here, so I'm so glad to see him. Mr. Compton?
Welcome, Mr. Compton.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. It's, I guess, my honor to be here in front of you all tonight. I've just got a couple things I'd like to share with you. The main reason I'm here, I'm going to share last, but before I do that, of course, you know our football team is in the regional finals this Saturday. That's kind of the front porch or the what you see when everyone sees that. But I wanted to share 2 or 3 things here with you tonight that a lot of people don't see and you probably don't hear about. But I'm, as a principal, very pleased with our students. First of all, our girls volleyball team this year, I'm trying to do some things this fall. They were, for the first time, they were in the semifinals of the regionals in volleyball, which, if you remember back a few years ago, when we first moved up, we struggled and just kept getting better. The second thing I wanted to mention was our one-act play. We had a drama. Sometimes it's a little hard to get the students into drama because they don't have a lot of background in drama. But this year we, of course, competed as we do every year in the one-act play, and our drama team, they came in 3rd out of 7 schools. And of course, you know drama, when you get into drama, it's more subjective. And I personally thought that maybe a little better than 3rd, but that wasn't my decision, okay? But anyway, that was good for them. The next thing I wanted to mention was our DECA. We competed last Friday, I guess it was. We took some students over to Mountain Empire and competed in the DECA, which is the business things, and we had, I think it was 21 that received medals over there, with 5 first place. And then we had, I think, 6 or 7 second place, and then some 3rd place. But those students, again, did very well. Very proud of them. And when you see them leave that morning, get on the bus, they're all dressed in ties and professional dress, and I see Mr. Robinson, he always carries about 3 or 4 ties with him, so the students don't have them, so he can put them on them, and it's kind of an impressive thing to see them leave on that day. And then when they come back victorious, it's even better. The next thing I wanted to mention was our academic team. Our academic team right now is 9-1. We are the teams, 2 teams we have to compete with to finish the district. I think we beat by a couple hundred points the first time around. So I'm optimistic, fingers crossed, that we might win our first regular season championship in the academic team. And that's a pretty big honor for us. And then the last thing, before I show you what I was going to show you, is our esports. We started esports this year. In our esports team, the first year we've had it, we're now at 5-3, and I know 3 of the schools we beat was Wakefield. You know Wakefield's a pretty big school up, McLean, and I know we beat Radford and a couple others. But I know those 3 names we don't hear every day, and we compete against those. What I wanted to show you, well, let me show you, then I'll talk about just a second. Okay?
Officer Bowman, would you come to the front, please? Officer Bowman didn't know why we were calling him up here.
I'll just say while Mr. Compton's getting ready that,
What I said last, I guess the graduation, most of you all was there, and we got to talking after the graduation ceremony, we need a new podium. It's not looking. As we got to talking about it, we just didn't want a podium, we want something with the logo and all that you can see very, very clearly. And so, when I started talking about this, Chris Owens, which is our assistant principal, and Officer Bob was another one, they got the idea that we go out here and shop and do some designs. And I think they actually did the design in the front, but then we give it to our students in carpentry class. We got a new teacher, Mr. Edwards. He said, we'd like to have a nice podium. And I'm going to turn this around here a minute, and I'm going to show you why I'm so proud of this thing. Okay? I just want you to look at the detail.
oh, wow.
College stuff,
Yeah.
Look here, school. I'll get to you that close. It's hard to see.
That is a heck of a job.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then, let me show you this. This is inlaid here. I'm going to stand up just a walnut. See the arm? Our students, let me roll it over here.
That's very impressive.
Ain't that something?
It is. Beautiful.
And then here, we inlaid the R right here on top. In the walnut. Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So I wanted, like, Miss Roberts was over one day, and I showed it to her, and I said, well, I'd like to show it to you all too, because I was pretty proud of the students to be able to pull something like that off.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, the reason I asked Officer Bowman here was not to arrest us, but he also had a part in this. Is that correct, Mr.
Yes, he
Compton?
did.
Would you like to tell us what you did, Mr. Bowman?
I helped Mr. Owens with setting up the Church Vision logo there on it. We did that back there in summer.
So,
Nice job, Rolly.
Great. It's great.
the only thing now, Mr. Compton, we may want that podium here with us during a board meeting, sir. I understand. Would you please help me to recognize Mr. Officer Bowman and our students and their accomplishments? Thank you. I know where the podium is, so I,
Mr. Compton, I can see why you're very proud, and especially with their
It's
drama
beautiful.
team, because there's some stiff competition in Mountain 7, just like everything else, so very good.
Mr. Hicks, Mr. Compton named several of the good news from our schools. We also have good news from our schools, from Irvington Elementary School. Mr. Edwards and his staff mentioned that. I wish I could take the time to look at or to read with you all of the accomplishments from Irvington Elementary School, but please, if you haven't had the opportunity, please look at those. Also, good news from Clintwood Elementary School and all the things that they are involved with, and we're very proud of them, and pictures of students. And then good news from Sandlick Elementary School. Sandlick has adopted a cow. Roxy is her name. They have, as the other two elementary schools, they're corn shucking. They participate in the Halloween costume contest, pumpkin contest. I think sometimes we get so busy with our everyday just ins and outs that we forget the talented students that we have, the way that our staff and SROs work with our students to create that beautiful podium, and what we actually do each day in our schools. So a big thanks to all of our schools that participated in the good news from our schools. And again, I just ask you to just take a few minutes, look at the pictures, especially of Roxy, that's the calf, and look to see all the good things that are happening in our schools. And we're very proud. Last week was American Education Week, and it was just proud. I was proud to see all the good things that are happening. Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
All right, so that will move us on to our next agenda item, which will be the update on the Ridgeview Elementary School. Mr. Burge.
Good evening. Good to see y'all tonight. Well, the school is continuing to get more finished every day. Looking good over there, as you'll be able to see in some of these pictures when we put them up tonight. The project, there's quite a bit going on, even though you can't see a lot of it from outside. They are finally putting the metal panels on that I've been waiting for 6 months. So they're going on now. They've got them on the between the two buildings, and the north side there, the front of the school, are on. They still have to work around some other areas on the building. The playground is almost complete. It looks real nice. Walkways continue to be installed. They're continuing to install glass and finish up curtain wall. They're installing the outside doors, putting inside doors in, painting exposed ceilings. Just some miscellaneous drywall work, not much of that left. Heat's on. Light fixtures are pretty much throughout other than the corridors. They've been installing receptacles and switches and getting all that all hooked up and tested out. And they have been working on the water treatment system in the mechanical room and getting the hot water heaters hooked up and all those things. On the PPA addition, they have completed the brick now on it. They are coming to measure the panels for it soon. The walls are framed, rough ends pretty much done in the walls in there. We're waiting on some stuff to go on the parapet cap, and then we will be able to start the roof on that, get those dried in. They're supposed to be measured for the windows so we can get those installed. So it's coming along real well as well. The project still remains in budget. Furniture is stored and just waiting pretty much to be delivered. The classroom addition, it just continues to be on schedule and within budget as well. And the furniture has been ordered, it's been delivered, and is being stored until we're ready for it. So now we can look at some of the photos, what's going on out there. This is a picture of the north side of the school, which is the front of the school. As you can see, they're installing panels. They have not pulled the plastic off of them yet, so you really can't see what it's really going to look like till they pull the plastic off. So they've got that side completed now. Next, playground equipment here. This is the climbing thing for the older kids. Slides. There's just a multitude of different things out there, swings and different things. Next. This is the small pre-K area. They've got their stuff installed. They got swings, little thing to walk on, crawl on. They've got, handicap access. It's going to be real nice. They're putting the finishes touches on that. Next. Here's a view from up on the second floor, looking down on it. The canopies are up. They've about finished up the stuff that goes underneath them. They were putting the tables together and things last week. Next, this is office area, casework going in. Some of the counters in, and they're waiting to get the rest of them here, but the casework's installed. Next, some more casework in the office area. Next, the elementary school gym. They've got the floor down, painting lines, working on the logo. They've got the heat duct run. We still got to install the curtain that splits it up into two sides, and as well as complete the sound system in there. Next, a little bit closer look at the logo. It's probably done out there. I didn't get there today, but it's probably finished because this was taken about the middle of last week, and they still had a couple days to work on it last week. So I'm expecting that it's probably done now. Next, the bleachers should be starting in there this week. This is a classroom. You can see casework's in, doors hanging. Just finishing up things in there. Next, here's another classroom. Casework installed. Next, here's the open ceiling in the cafeteria. We'll be painting that this week, and it gets these clouds and stuff in there, so it's going to be real nice once we get all that painted and then get the clouds up there, cloud ceilings hung. Next, they came last week and set equipment in place in the kitchen. The MEP guys are working on that, getting all that hooked up now. They've lowered the temporary lights down, so when they put the grid up, which is ready for the grid, then they'll be able to get the temporary lights out. So this is moving along good as well. Next. This is on the addition. They were laying the brick, which now they finished that. This was last week. Next. This is inside the addition, the classroom addition. It's kind of nasty, dirty. Need to get on them about that, but that's where we are there inside. Next. And some more. You can see the rains coming in and the snow and ice and all that, but It's kind of now become the area where everybody's moving their toolboxes to to get them out of the building. Next. I think that's all. So in the next few weeks, they'll be putting the bleachers in, should be putting ceiling tiles in, completing the ceilings in the corridors, finishing up the painting, finish up casework on the second floor. So I think all the VCT flooring's down other than in the corridors. They're waiting till we get the little bit further along before we put the carpet in the office areas. But it's moving along well. Real happy with it. And any questions? All right, thank you.
Mr. Burge, I thought the pictures were beautiful this month. And if you'll just take a few minutes to look at those, it's just really gorgeous. Mr. Hicks, I forgot an important person, and that was Ms.
We
Martin.
skipped Miss Martin, and we did. I just realized
We got
that.
so excited
thought
about
she
the
was getting out of
podium
it.
and how I was going to get the podium from Ridgeview High School here that I forgot Ms. Martin. So, Ms. Martin, I'm sorry. I knew that, Ms. Martin.
It was a hard act to follow with that podium, so I was really relieved that you'd forgotten me there for a second. I do have good news for our attendance. If you look at your attendance packet that we have for you today, for this month, we are up, and again, you know, it's a month behind. So for the month of October, we have an increase of 3 students. Excuse me. Which an increase is always good. We're always excited about an increase, and we continue to hope to continue to increase. As far as our percentage for attendance, the high school once again has won the attendance banner, and my understanding is the middle school has now challenged them. So now we have a little competition going between the middle school and the high school, because the middle school doesn't like the banner because they have to walk by. They see it as they go to lunch every day. So we have competition between the middle school and the high school. So I foresee the middle school may pull ahead for next month, because I think the kids are working real hard. We also included some chronic, we tend to talk about chronic numbers with you, so I included some of those figures for you at the bottom as well. The second page, of course, is broken down for you by grade, and then the 3-4-year average, I included that for you. I also included the notes, just a brief summary of the notes from our attendance committees. They're working hard. They continue to, I send them the data before I give it to you, so that they can study the data and see where they need to make improvements or changes. They work with their committees to come up with new ideas for the incentives and things to sort of enhance the kids' experiences and to come up with some different ways to encourage kids to come to school. And I also gave you another picture of the kids for October for the incentives. Virginia, the communities and schools works with us in conjunction, and they're doing a fantastic job. We thank that organization. They're really helping us out a lot. We sort of pulled our funds together, and they're really pitching in, and they're also a part of our committees, and they work real well with our groups, and the kids are responding well. So we're seeing an increase, and we hope to continue to increase. Are there any questions about attendance? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Again,
Sorry, we almost forgot you. All right. Our next agenda item is a presentation by Propel Counseling Group. Let's welcome Ms. Kim Carroll and Heather Lynch.
If I could, Mr. Hicks, Ridgeview Elementary School transition is, ladies, we could do that later, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello. I know many of you, some of you I'm familiar with, but don't necessarily know. And while he gets set up, I'll just say thank you very much for the time that we have to speak with you today. My name is Kim Carroll. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Virginia and half owner of Propel Counseling Group.
And I'm Heather Lynch, and the other half of Propel, so.
So we had an opportunity to speak with Haiti a couple times, and then I think it was last week we met with Haiti and Mr. Edwards and Mr. Deal and Denisha, and we got a little bit better idea of what some of the mental health challenges are that you guys face and moving forward. And we would like to take time as passionate Dickinson County residents that are experienced in mental health and trained professionals and discuss some of the needs and possible solutions that we feel like that might be beneficial to you all. One of the challenges that we have found as mental health professionals is that most people do not understand what services are available and what level of need matches with what services and what providers provide what services and level of need. So we would like to offer this information to you as you move forward to make some very important decisions as part of the school system. Advance the slide, please. Go ahead if you want to.
Okay, so currently the mental health services in the Dickinson County school system that we are aware of, and if we missed anything, feel free to let us know, but TDT has been the big one, which is therapeutic day treatment, which I actually was a part of the integration of that into this county many years ago with a different company. I supervised the first school in this county, which was New Start at the vocational school. So, but they're exiting December the 12th and statewide by 2023. So almost all providers have announced early retirement of the program, and this has been a huge resource within the county. It's not a service we currently provide, but it's just one that has been a benefit to the school system since we had, we were with Family Preservation Services, and then now we are Propel Counseling Group. So outpatient counseling also has been provided in the schools. Since the pandemic, only FPS has had access to clients to provide outpatient therapy that's already established. That was, I think, a lot bigger when we were still with FPS just because of staffing, and they've lost staff over the years, unfortunately. So,
can I explain how that worked a little bit?
Sure.
And as Heather said, we were integral in founding TDT in the schools and then keeping it going for a while. As that program kind of ran its course, the MCOs decided it was not something they were going to continue paying for, so the providers in the state had to kind of start backing out. But when you have access to client in the schools, as I was supervising these clients as a resident or as a licensed counselor, when I would come and do supervision for the staff, I would then have access to these clients to do a more outpatient, in-depth therapy and bill an outpatient code to the insurance, and that outside of the TDT program. So the outpatient component has been provided within the schools, but it's just kind of been as it was available to the TDT clients, and that's just a Medicaid program. So basically, commercial insurance students have never had the benefit of any kind of mental health services in the county that insurance covers, because most services that have been offered up to this point have been Medicaid paid for services.
So also case management is provided in the school system by Dickinson County Behavioral Health Services, and they're the only people that are allowed to do case management. It's just a statewide thing. So, and then community-based and home-based counseling services are actually provided within the schools that are funded by FAPT, and it's a combination between home, school, and community for a very select number of kids who have a lot of intense needs. And so that's something that comes out of Community Service Act funds, which is a state pool fund. So. And we get so much allotted to this county, so services can be approved by FAPT, and then we can provide that child with some support at school. We're not here all day, but we do come provide coordination. Any agency that does that, and there's several that actually do that within the county.
Next slide, please.
So some other services that are currently in the school, which would be communities in schools, and then and they're a non-mental health service, and so CIS provides the link between educators and the community. They provide critical resources, connect families with some things. They provide some support on site. Their staff level is actually like a bachelor's degree preferred. And so they do a lot of linkage of services and support. They're there, at the school, all day during the day. And so, but that's actually a non-mental health service. And then another one that we didn't list on here, mentoring is provided in the county. They don't really do a lot on-site with students, but that is something that your students sometimes can receive in the county if a mentor is available. Just a good role model provided that they can take them places, and sometimes there's some tutoring services involved in that.
And just speaking to community and schools, from where we sit behind, across the room from clients and their families, they do a really good job. And you guys have the benefit of having some staff with community and schools that actually have a mental health background, so they do a good job in knowing what kind of support a kid needs, and often that looks like counseling to the kid, to the student, but that's not their actual purpose as a mental health service. But again, the staff's amazing. Worked alongside several of them, and I do know that they do a good job with what they do. Next slide, please. The table. Okay. So we're providing to you all, we took some time to create a table of comprehensive list of services. Now, this is not a total comprehensive understanding of services currently, but it's kind of a brief snapshot to kind of help the layperson understand what's available. And we are going to pass this out, and I don't want to take up the board's time by being detailed with explaining every little aspect of this table. But if you'll look, the service lines are listed on the left, and from TDT to case management, outpatient therapy, intensive outpatient counseling, community-based and home-based counseling, therapeutic mentoring, and mentoring. That's basically a good rundown of available mental health services in Dickinson County. These services are available to students and their families. Now, if you'll see the check marks there, some are only available to Medicaid, people with Medicaid, and some are available to both, and some are paid for through state contributions by the state or federal funding to the county. Now, these services managed by FAPT, a lot of people have asked us, when we take cases based on these cases that come from FAPT, does it cost the county? These are funds that are designated for these services and are provided from federal and state funded agencies through to the county. The Children's Services Act and the Adoption and Safe Families Act both allotted a fund that would meet the mental health needs of children and their families. So if you want to read more on that yourselves, it's pretty interesting read on how that all came about, and our county's very, very fortunate to have access to some of these funds. And if you look at the columns, we have tried to provide the best that we can. Again, we're not an expert on every agency in the county and what they provide, but we've got a pretty good working knowledge, and I apologize if we've been inaccurate in any way. Definitely not on purpose, and any corrections we'll let you know. But we wanted you to see the clinician qualifications for each service, the frequency of the service that's provided, times per day if it's in the school, the providers in Dickinson County that currently provide that service, and then the referral process. The referral process is something I added kind of at the end because we get asked a lot, how do we even get a student in this service? So that's sort of a snapshot right there of how to refer a student. As you'll see, there are very limited providers in Dickinson County. We are coming to you again as passionate therapists that want to help, and we feel that making everyone knowledgeable about what services are available and what you can refer a child to is going to benefit not you all, but the faculty and the students as well. We feel like we would very much like to take a team approach with this, with the school board, with the school systems, with other agencies. Next slide, please. So we came up with some recommendations, and please know that we're just coming from a place that we want to help.
we know how integral TDT has been over the years because we've worked it, we've supervised it, and so, you know, we want the kids to still receive the maximum amount of services that they can with that program exiting. So some action that can be taken now is, you know, quick referrals for mental health services in general as problems survive or arise, match referral to the services and agencies with the child's level of need. You know, sometimes filing CHINS petitions as needed allows for services to be mandatory, could address underlying anxiety, you know, that drives truancy and things like this. I know sometimes people don't like filing those petitions, but sometimes early intervention is best when we see those problems happening and if families are not wanting to participate in services. Utilizing Dickinson County FAPT as a resource and for staffing of potential service recommendations. If you don't know where to go with a kiddo, you know, having the school system come to FAPT, and there is a school system employee that sits on that team, can bring that family to FAPT and discuss the issue, and then we can discuss the most appropriate services with a team of people that sit on that team, which are multiple agencies within the county. Educate and inform all school staff and faculty on resources available and ways to identify the level of need when referring a child to services. And then, of course, some future needs that we saw were encouraging the creation of a position for someone who would be responsible for mental health crisis management, as well as assisting with linkage to the appropriate level of mental health care and agencies depending on need. And so my understanding is, I think the future of Dickinson County maybe hopes that you know, that they can staff that internally, which is wonderful, and that's what some other school systems are doing. Lee County was one that, you know, we have the information to give you guys that we can provide electronically of that contact information of how they are doing that, because they had received a grant and that they originally thought that person would do therapy and it didn't work out because they were just really managing crisis and making referrals to other appropriate services. And so that person kind of figures out the need and assesses it and then refers out to other agencies to actually provide the treatment. And so we really feel like a blend of public and private agency involvement should be made available to all students, you know, not just one public agency that serves the county or one private agency that serves the county, because we all do some different things and have some different specialties and different things available. So increasing education on mental health to students and faculty in a post-COVID world. I know forever, you know, it's been hard to even allow people into the school system. And so we just see that education being needed again. And I know we do some of that, but I just don't think you can get enough, because mental health is even more important than physical health. I know that sometimes it's hard to get buy-in on that, but it's proven and true. Look it up. So, because it impacts your physical health when you have mental health issues. So, development of a team of professionals from multiple agencies that act as a resource and support for the school system. So, I think, you know, even if it's consultation, I think the school system is wonderful, but I think if you're looking on how to best serve the mental health needs of the students, you need people who do mental health to be on a team to figure out a good plan. And so, we would love to help with that, and we know other agencies who would be glad to kind of serve, because we are very much there's room for everyone, and there's a lot of need here. So,
Next slide, please.
So just a couple of frequently asked questions. You know, why do we need more services? We already have some providers in the schools. We aren't really sure what FPS is going. I know there's some talk about what they may be able to do post TDT, and they're planning on some things. Some of those services may be therapy, some may be the intensive outpatient. Some of the services that you have in school are not therapy. Some of the kids, it's behavior management, it's check-ins, encouragement, linkage of services. Therapy is deeper diving for long-term solutions. Some of the things that we have sometimes are Band-Aids, and we need temporary fixes to what or permanent fixes to what these kids are going through. Another question we get a lot is, what about lost academic time? If the mental health treatment isn't there, the academics are going to suffer anyway. A lot of times we get kids coming to our office, and I still think that should be an option for kids, of course, and we'll provide doctor's excuses. But when children come to the office, parents a lot of times use that doctor's excuse to miss the full day, even though we're right in town.
At the very least, they missed a half day.
Yeah.
To us and back.
And they get something to do while they're out, and which all that's wonderful, but some kids need to be seen weekly or multiple times per week, and we worry about them not getting back into school. So if there's that access here in the school system, sometimes those kids aren't missing more school coming out of the office for those appointments. So if there are providers' offices they can go to, then why not keep doing that again? This is fine and should always be an option. Some children could benefit from on-site therapy for access and frequency. Some children, do need to leave and come into an office setting for those appointments. It really is based on need and that particular family.
Next slide.
So I just had a quote here, a child's mental health is just as important as their physical health and deserves the same quality of support, which was the Duchess of Cambridge, so.
Next slide.
Not me. This one was me and Kim. And so by purposely unifying multiple providers and agencies of mental health with the school system, we can improve the quality of mental health of students and faculty, as well as enable more appropriate access to services. You can't fight this fight by yourself, but we can together, we feel like, so.
In summary, we just want to reiterate that we're here as Propel, yes, but we're mainly here as citizens who want to see the growing mental health need addressed and help you all with resources, information, services, whatever we can do. We do have the table printed out for you all to look at. We have just some information about Propel and who we are. We didn't take the time to do that today, but and also if you would like these PowerPoint slides emailed to you, we'll be happy to send them to you, Ms. Robinson.
Excuse me,
and you
Ms.
can
Carroll,
forward them as-
if you will, Ms. Carroll, if you will email that to me,
Yes.
then I will certainly email that
Absolutely.
to all the board members.
We sure can. And we just, we do want to offer, an approach with multiple agencies and somehow form some sort of a, combined effort that the many services that the many agencies can provide be accessible to the students as they need. Did you want us to answer any questions or anything, or?
Board members, are there any questions or?
Board members, you don't have any questions?
As Ms. Carroll and Ms. Lynch have mentioned, family preservation, of course, their last day is supported or purported to be on the 12th. We've had several discussions about how we can provide that therapeutic services to our students. But I think that we just need to work together, and I so much appreciate Ms. Carroll and Ms. Lynch coming, because I think the issue for us is we know we have the need. It's not going to be a lesson. It's not going to weigh. And so we welcome them to come during our after-school program and provide groups there, and certainly Mike Setzer would be the person to talk with there, and Portia Fletcher. So anytime that we can get Propel in or any other agency in to work with our students, I know that the board fully supports that, and so do we, and that would be our recommendation.
And we are attempting to work out ways to help with the after-school program. As you know, most people do want after school or after work. We accommodate people up to 7:30 sometimes. So all of our clinicians are packed full in the evenings, sometimes seeing 10, 11 clients a day. But we are trying to figure out how we can help with that in some way.
We've also are applying for grants and either through Propel to hire mental health therapists to come into the building, and so we know that this is a need, and it's a
Again,
great
I would
need.
encourage you to reach out to Lee County. Several of our clients started talking about what they were doing in that county, so I had to look into it, because when you hear the chatter, you want to find out what's behind it. And they are doing an amazing job with those grant funds, and they figured out how all the pieces of the puzzle kind of work together. And it's kind of a well-oiled machine now. I think after about 3 years and COVID, they've kind of
We have a
hit on
meeting
a
with
few
their
things.
superintendent.
Awesome. Good.
And
Awesome.
after your call.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
ladies.
much. And you'll send that PowerPoint? Yes, I'll be glad to. This will be a topic that will be on our agenda soon, often during the meetings for the next several months until we get to a good place that we can provide these services for our children.
Okay. All right, Ms. Robinson, can you give us an update on the Ridgeview Elementary School transition, please?
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to. Last month, we talked about the Ridgeview Elementary transition, and just to update the board on that, we have determined that 33 classrooms out of the 34 will be used. That is our projection for the 23-24 school year. We've determined that 33 classrooms will be used in pre-K through 5th grades with a pupil-teacher ratio of approximately 1 to 17 in grades pre-K through 3rd, and about 1 to 18 in ratios in grades 4 and 5 grades. Grade level classrooms, self-contained classrooms, classrooms for resource programs such as Title I, Encore, attendance, and SROs. We've identified those classrooms. So that was kind of we've gotten that done. We've also started identifying staff, and this process to determine the Ridgeview Elementary staff and faculty has begun and is under consideration. Again, we are looking at the staff at Sand Lake and the staff at Irvington Elementary School to meet these needs. In December and January, the board will consider the administrative positions for this school. And so Friday, November the 18th, was the deadline for the administrative positions, and we received several, and so we would like to share those with you today during closed session, and then hopefully in December, the board will come to an approval of those. We're continuing with finalizing the educational and instructional programs. We are continuing to finalize bus runs. Teacher moving plan is a topic on our weekly ScanSCO construction calls, and we are looking at outside, or I guess hiring people to help us with the moving plan since we have 2 schools being involved with that. We are also discussing the Sand Lake demolition as soon as possible. As you recall, that topic is under discussion to facilitate the earliest date because funding is related to that. Again, our technology staff, will begin, is that this month or in December? Okay, I forget the month. In December, again, our technology staff will be hard at work, and they're going to be putting up equipment. The furniture, as Mr. Burge has said, is here. It's ready to be set up. Summer school and summer school location. We have discussed that, and we'll have some recommendations to the board in January. Ribbon cutting, as we've said, we've tried to be a little bit flexible, but we've now extended that window for ribbon cutting from early June to August, just to see what we can do at that time. So again, we will have recommendations for the board in January for your discussion. And then, of course, the beginning of school. We've already been asked that, and that school calendar for 2023-2024 will be determined by the board, as it always is, with input from faculty and staff and also families in the spring. So as you see, if you see an item that we have not discussed or you would like more information, please let us know that right away. But I do plan to have this topic on our agenda each month so we can update the board regarding those. Another topic that we have discussed is grade configurations, and so again, we will have these types of recommendations for the board's consideration in January. Mr. Hicks and board members, questions or comments or anything about that? Process is moving quite quickly, and as we've said, we're going to blink and we're going to be starting our new school year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It will be here quick.
Yes, it will.
All right, our next item for discussion will be the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services Plan. Mrs. Robinson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The purpose of the proposed attached plan, and it was included in your board packet, is to help safely reopen and sustain the safe operation of our schools and address the impacts of COVID. As you know, our school division and school divisions across the state have received significant amount of money and funding for this, and this discussion of this plan should address the needs of the school division, but also how the school division is using the funds for academic gap, to encourage school attendance and in a safe environment. So you have received that plan. The plan is posted on our DCPS website. We invite the public to please read and make any comments, and we've asked that all comments be directed to my email address, which is given there at hrobinson@dcps.k12.va.us. Any comments and all comments that we receive will become part of the final draft, and the draft will be posted on Thursday, December the 1st, as per law. So if you have any questions or comments or anything that in that manner, please let us know immediately, and we will certainly address those. Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we will have board comments. Mr. Hackney, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Just like to thank Mr. Compton for coming tonight. I think he might have already stepped out, but it's always nice to hear the successes of our students. Sounds like we've had a lot in a lot of different areas lately. Very proud of the academic progress and success, especially after, what we were just talking about, some of the challenges that we've faced in the past couple of years. Just wanted to basically wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, all of our staff, students, and hoping for a big win Saturday over in Bluefield.
Well, I certainly echo all those good news from the schools concerning our students. It certainly is refreshing to hear that and see so many students excelling in the challenges they undertake. It's
Mr. Rasnick, if you could speak into the microphone, I think it may be better for you, sir. I'm sorry.
I said it's for Mr. Compton and all the principals. I'm sure they have so many things to be proud of from their students. The students and the families and the teachers have to come together in a good way, the community, to make all those things happen. It certainly is admirable that they had so many victories in the contests they were in, and that's certainly something to be congratulated and admired and rewarded. I just hope that everybody manages to get well and come back after the holidays in a good way, and everybody's safe and has a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I wanted to brag on Mr. Compton as well, and as soon as I looked up, we'll talk about him while he's not here, I guess. So, but I really want to thank Mr. Compton for showing up and sharing those things, sharing the accomplishments of our students. each of those things reflect the talent of our students and also the dedication and the skill of our teachers that bring those things along. That podium is very nice, and as I said earlier, that for the drama, that is a very, some stiff competition in Mountain 7 that they have to go up against, so that's pretty impressive. And and we've adopted a cow, so that's pretty neat as well down there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we've got lots of good things going on, and the podium just shows off the skill and our career and VOTEC programs that we have there that are really doing well. I'd like to thank Propel for you guys coming out and presenting to us tonight. We've got a lot of need and a lot of things that we can accomplish there. Other than that, I'd just like to say, hey, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and, enjoy the little break and enjoy your family. Go ahead, Doc.
I applaud all of the good news from our schools. It's amazing what can be accomplished when people work together. I also wish everyone a good, safe Thanksgiving and continue that into 2023.
Well, I'd like to reiterate everything that all the board members said, and I'd like my hats off for all the successes that Ridgeview's been able to accomplish in the last very short while. The $233,000 grant for the security is a great step. The successes of the DECA program, the academics team, and the Ridgeview football team, and as Jason said, Roxy the cow. I think that's a real important thing. And but then I'd like to tell this little story to everybody that's here and kind of summarize what we're all doing here. I'd like to entitle this The Pennsylvania Family. I think I've shared that with you, Ms. Robinson. But my wife calls me a cheapskate sometimes, and I buy these real cheap dollar store glasses. And I keep going back over there, and one I bought 2 days later had broken in two, so I went back over there and I asked the cashier, I said, I just bought it day before yesterday, can I get a new pair? And she says, well, you have to talk to the manager. So this really nice black-headed woman comes out, and I showed her my glasses, and she said, yeah, I'll give you another pair. She said, but don't be so rough on them next time. So 2 days later, I'm at the house, and that screw came out of that the glasses, and so I was ashamed to go back over there to where she was at, so I decided to buy one of those $1.99 repair kits. So I go get it, and I can't see halfway in the house, and I've only got one pair of glasses, so I'm trying to put the screw in, and I get it in crooked. And I said, well, it's working, I'll leave it alone. So the next day I ran into the dollar store, and lo and behold, there stood the woman, the black-headed woman, and she said, how's your glasses holding up? And I said, well, I had a little trouble. I said, the screw came out. And she says, give me those glasses. And she goes back into the office, she puts a new screw in, comes out and smiles at me and hands them to me. And I thought, this is so nice. This is better than anything you get at Walmart or anywhere. And I said, well, honey, I said, I don't know you. Where in the world are you from? She said, I'm from Pennsylvania. And I said, well, how in the world did you get here? She said, I bought a house. And I said, where did you buy a house? She said, I bought the house that Dr. Center and Ginger Center lived in. And I said, well, how in the world did you find it? She said, I got on the internet, and I did research what was important to me. I wanted a very safe environment to raise my child in. I wanted the best of schools and a good quality of life. And she said, I found the quality of life. And I told my husband, I'm going to do research on their school system. And she said, Ridgeview High School and the Dickinson County school system is one of the highest rated school systems in the entire state of Virginia. So that's my story about the Pennsylvania family, and that's what we're doing here. And thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins.
Thank you.
Did you get your glasses fixed, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Mr. Mullins, and quit being so rough on those glasses, okay? All right. At this time, we will now go into closed session. Closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711, Paragraph A of the Code of Virginia. There will be a closed session for the purpose of, 1, employment issues relating to discussing or consideration of specific individuals for employment as custodians, part-time aides, substitutes, FMLA, and resignation pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1. 2, discussion and consideration of student disciplinary matters pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A2. 3, to consult with legal counsel regarding the investment of public funds associated with school construction and consultation regarding actual or probable litigation, along with consultation regarding specific matters requiring legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A 6, 7, and 8 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are now out of closed session. Mr. Robinson, will you please read the certification?
Certainly. Whereas the Dickinson County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote, and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dickinson County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only the public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Would you please certify?
I certify.
I certify.
I certify.
I certify.
I certify.
Very good. Are there any motions from closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move the school board approve the decision of the disciplinary committee regarding the expulsion of student 1000001798.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any other motions from closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that the board approve the employment recommendations as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Do we have any other business to discuss?
Mr. Hicks, the board, because of scheduling conflicts, has looked to move our meeting from December the 14th to December the 12th, and if we could just have a motion and a vote on that, sir.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to move the meeting to December the 12th at 5 p.m., correct?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Any other business to discuss? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?